Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's all right. Let's do a little something here. Let's put the background in the blue color. It's beautiful like that. So, color. Here we are. Blue background. And hey, I've got my big head right there in a. So, anyways, hey everybody, welcome aboard. This is the live show. We are live, of course, twice a week on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 0 hours Universal Time. And we are also live. Okay. And we are also live on Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 20 hours UTC. The Wednesday evening, North America, is Thursday for most of the world. And everybody's welcome, of course. This is a show about invisible waves crossing oceans and going across the planet that we receive with portable radios. And for those that think radio is gone, well, no, it's actually more alive than ever. Why? Because if you use a smartphone, that Wi Fi, that data connection you have, it's radio. It's radio. It's radio waves from the tower to your phone. And this is a show that talks about part of that spectrum and where we just enjoy listening to all sorts of radio signals, mainly international broadcasts and signals from around the world on shortwave, but we expand a little more. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And there's a Facebook group you can join, official SWL channel, where we talk and continue talking about radio, and very helpful group, just like here. The chat room here is really fun. It's great. People are helpful, are having fun with radio, and just a great gang of people. I mean, I think all the people here are. I think there's some kind of magic between us that we respect each other and have fun. And of course, the Facebook group, same thing. More than 2,000 respectful and fantastic people that are there to just help and have a lot of cool, fun moments together. And when the show is over, you can head on to that Facebook group, of course. And of course, the show is here to have fun. I got tons of videos also posted of all sort of little things that I do every day with radio and things I want to talk about. So I hope you enjoy, and hope that everybody is going to enjoy the show tonight. I'm in one of those little moods of ranting because somebody came to me with a subject that I'm very passionate about a couple of hours ago, and it's like I need to brush off of some of that bad mood that I was in an hour or two ago. So tonight, I've got some no vodka tonight. Tonight, I've got something that a friend of mine gave me, and they are apple ciders that are made here in Quebec, and that have different flavors, natural flavors to them. So, apple cider, pineapple, and a apple cider, which is um, watermelon basil. So this is going to be interesting to drink. They're 5% alcohol. And he gave me a box that has 8 of them, 2 of each kind. And thought I'd have 2 of them tonight while we do the live show. I think that's going to be nice. Let's start with the pineapple one. So here we go. I'm going to open this. Here we go. This could almost be like a ad for the show. I don't know if you guys can you'll hear it. Oh yeah, this is definitely like an ad. Nothing like the bubbly taste of the pineapple apple cider. Refreshing have the impression of doing a Coca-Cola ad. You gotta have it, Coca-Cola. It's like they would have us, listen to that type of sound when they would do it. So, cheers, everybody. This is actually good. Apple cider. I've had a lot of different apple ciders. I always find that it's kind of rough, and this one is not, and I like that. Some of them are kind of too acidic, I would say. So you drink and you're like, yeah, yeah, okay, it's kind of hard. It goes down, and you're like, yeah, it's like drinking battery acid or something. And it, but this one is good, and it doesn't have that acidic side to it. So, cheers. Pretty good. So, welcome aboard, everybody. I am 24 hours away from being into my first amateur radio course. So, that's going to be interesting. I'll be commenting on my first amateur radio course on the Shortwave channel, kind of giving my feel of how it was, what I think. And I think I'm going to do one thing that I wanted to do is that throughout the course, I will, from time to time, comment on how more, what I think of the course itself and how it relates or needs to be improved for today. The guy that's giving the course is like an old timer that's been there for a long time. And it doesn't mean that it's not going to be a good course at all. It's probably going to be fantastic. But when you talk about old timers doing stuff, I know, and I don't want to generalize because a lot of you out there are great. But we always have that feel of, that old guy's gonna, old guy. I don't know what age he is. He's probably, maybe he's my age and he's been in AM radio for 35 years. But so old is very relative. When you're 20 years old is 40 years old and 50 years old. When you're 50, old is like 90 years old. And when you're 80, it's probably like, well, you've passed 100, you're old. It's very relative, and depending on the age we get to, and I think in the inside also is there's the way that we deal with old. I'm 52, but I still don't have the legal drinking age mentally. So, that means everybody's old, even at my age, but I don't feel old, And I think most people probably are like that. It's like we get older, our body tells us that we get older, but our brain is still wired like, you want to do that same thing you did when you were 16 years old and be a badass. But it's the way we are. So, but I thought I'd comment on the shortwave radio guy perspective of the amateur radio course that I'm going to have, and kind of comment on, do I find that it's well done and well directed towards an audience of 2021 that would like to be amateur radio. I know one thing is tomorrow we are 141 that are going to have the virtual amateur radio course. 141 people. And so I'm thinking 141 guys and gals from Canada following a course of amateur radio. I think it's not that bad of a number for a virtual course. From what I understand, there were a lot of people on Monday on the how does Zoom work, which I wasn't there because I got no problem understanding how Zoom works. Which means there's a lot of computer, kind of computer, not very computer savvy people there. which I don't know. I don't know if I could put one plus one is a non-computer savvy person, you know, probably not very technical at the same time. One thing I'm afraid, and that is, I know the number one thing that is going to annoy me is not that it's not important. It's super important. I'm afraid that so many people are going to have so many basic questions that, and it's fine. I mean, we start an amateur course and we're not all the same level, but I'm afraid it's going to annoy me to a point where I'm going to be like, this is the most boring thing I have to follow in my life. I'll be very fair with you guys. I think I will learn a lot. I actually have gone through almost half of the book by myself. Okay. And I've learned stuff. But if I could get an examiner to give me an exam now and say, forget forget the course, I would not follow it. I would not follow it. Okay? I'll be very fair because I have the impression it's going to annoy me more than anything else. And you know what? Because I've gone through half of this, I'll go through all of this, and I've already, pretty much got a lot more knowledge of a lot of things that I didn't understand without without um, having anybody out there to tell me, explain stuff to me. So I don't know if you guys can understand what I feel about this. Maybe it's because I'm more advanced than the average ham radio operator to be with all I do. Um, Maybe I shouldn't feel this way, but 24 hours from there, I feel like I'm going to have a ton of boring time throughout this course. And I understand it's something that is needed, but I just, it's like, let's put it just basically, electronics, but you don't have that paper. And somebody's going to tell you, well, you got to go and follow that basic electronics course to get the paper. What are you going to do? You're going to be bored to death because you know all of it. It's just you have to do it because you need the paper. And that's the thing. Because honestly, if any examiner in Montreal would say, come over and do the course, we're going to do it. Not the course, but the exam. I would just say, forget it about the course. But I know I'm going to learn because I learned a lot here. And maybe the, the way the course is going to be done, maybe I'm wrong. And, I'm going to actually comment about that as I go through. Probably I'm going to, maybe have fun and it's going to be fine. But I am afraid of being very, very bored at a lot of what's going to happen there. And let's hope not. And tomorrow's going to be the first. I don't think on the first night you can really, say anything about it. But in the next couple of weeks, um, maybe I'm going to start, maybe I'm going to say, hey, it's great. And actually, I love it. Or maybe I'm going to say, yeah, it's kind of a boring thing I have to go through. That's for sure. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe not. But I wanted to share that because I'm afraid. I'm afraid that, I'm afraid that, and so, and I don't know what they do on the live stuff. Do they ask us who we are, and what we do? Yeah. I'm the guy behind the most popular shortwave radio channel on YouTube and have thousands of people watching my videos. Who knows? So welcome aboard, everybody. This is actually very good, but also very dangerous. It's so good that it's like, you drink that, and if you get sick from this thing, man, you don't want to eat pineapples ever again. So welcome everyone. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting experience. I mean, look, almost 40 years into radio, and finally going to get my ham license through and follow a course. It's going to be okay, and we're going to see. We're going to see what happens, and be a lot of fun. Actually, somebody posted. I saw the question go by. It's like you can't just go to an examiner. It's like I don't know. Maybe you can. Maybe you can. If maybe an examiner would like, you know, would say, well, go ahead. Because I mean, it's just um, you know, going through the questions and everything, and if you do have your score, I mean, you have some knowledge about radio, that's for sure. So here, for those that were asking, because a lot of people are asking what's in Canada, and so reading the book now, I know that we have two licenses in Canada, and so one of them is, of course, the basic, and the other one is the advanced license. And the basic license gives you, if you have a score that is below 80% but above 60%, you will get VHF, UHF privileges, and that's it. Above 80%, you get what is called basic with honors, which means that you are capable of HF on every band. Then there's the advanced license, which gives you more privileges. For example, the basic license you can use equipment that is um, is commercial, that's already built for you, and you can tweak it and everything. But the advanced license, you can actually build your own equipment, which you cannot on the basic license. You're not allowed to build your own transmitter on the basic license and use it. You're not supposed to. On the advanced one, you can. Stuff like that. Also, for the Morse code, because a lot of people have been asking me about the Morse code requirements. Morse code is not required on basic or advanced, except if you do certain things. For example, one of the things I would be interested in doing is become a examiner in Montreal, because everybody's like everywhere else, and Montreal for me, I think, is not very represented by examiners. But for that, you have to go to the advanced, and to be an examiner, you have to know your 5 words per second Morse code. So there are a few things that require the Morse code if you want to do them. But for most of the amateur radio, even in the advanced license, Morse code is not something that is mandatory. You do it if you want, but if you don't do it, you still get your advanced license. You just need it in very specific circumstances, like, for example, being an examiner. So anyways, I was just telling you about my my personal impressions that are maybe totally wrong. We'll see, and we'll see tomorrow, the first course, what happens. So tomorrow, my course is going to be from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. And I'll just sit back and see what happens, and But by reading the book already, I've learned quite a few little things, and like I said, a lot of the knowledge, missing knowledge, is more into the ham regulations, stuff like that. The electronics part, I'm not that rusty. I was looking at the electronics part, and it's like, yeah, I kind of remember pretty much all of it. I mean, I passed my electronics course in 1998-ish. I was living at the other place. And I I still remember quite a lot of it, honestly. So honestly, it's that's not the difficult part for me, and it's really going to be. I think it's going to be pretty easy, anyways. Like I said, I've done it. I've done about a dozen times the 100 question exam on the website. The lowest score I had yet was 82%, which gives me a basic with honors for the HF privileges. And the highest score I had was 96. So, I think it's going to be okay. I think it's going to be okay. Some of the, when you have multiple questions, one of the things also is the fact that if you analyze the questions and the answers that they give you, you often can already take out at least one or two of the answers, saying, these two, I don't know, it's not that. And if you do have a choice, then most of the questions you end up with like a 50-50 chance, because you're like, well, it's either this one or that one, when it happens. And you just gotta take the time to look at everything. And anyways, we'll see. And I'll post some shortwave radio videos. I'll comment here also, as we go by. Saturday, I'll probably have a little bit of my own personal take on what happened on my course on tomorrow. And I can't, I mean, it's not that I'm that popular, but I can't stop thinking, out of 140 people out there, I wonder if there are some out there that are going to say, well, that's the guy from the shortwave channel. I wonder if some people are going to know who I am. That would be like kind of, oh, I know him. He's from that YouTube channel. So anyways, time to get that ham license. I know you guys have been asking for such a long time. And then after that will be the setup. Okay, we are Wednesday evening, North America, Thursday for all of you out in the rest of the world. And hope that you're enjoying your time and did a little bit of radio. A little test I would like for some of you in the United States, mostly because that's where it's heard. Last night, we had the CIDX monthly meeting, which is Canadian International DX Club monthly Zoom meeting. Usually it's Saturday afternoon, but we Sheldon decided that we try a different time slot to see who we could get that can be there on the Saturday. And we had quite a few people that weren't there usually on Saturdays, including a guy that Rob Wagner, that I actually did a little highlight on his YouTube channel today, which is very nice. Go check his YouTube channel. One of them is very, very nice. It's he's going through the Shepparton Radio Australia Shepparton transmitter site. And he's got another video in there that if you go through, where he actually also goes through the Beyond Australia, the HCJB Australian site, and talks about it. So check out his channel. It's kind of interesting. There's some nice stuff in there. He doesn't post very often, but let's give the guy a little boost here, because he's got some really nice stuff in there. But we talked about a weird signal, a very weird signal. And that weird signal is from New Mexico. I believe it's from New Mexico. Let me just check the details here. And it's a very, very weak signal. It's a signal that is so let me just check it out. So it's a beacon that is sending out DW and ID It says the beacon started development in November of 2020, built from scratch. It has a hybrid controller consisting of two 555 CMOS timers to key the transmitter along with an Arduino Nano controller to generate Morse code and collect data and for performance telemetry. So the frequency of transmission is 4095.6. So 4095.6 CW. Or if you don't have CW, try just 4095. It consists of Morse code IDs, telemetry, and some swoop sounds. And actually, it's called the whoop, whoop, whoop signal because it has this whoop signal or this whoop audio. I was hearing it not here, but I was hearing it on the VE6JY Kiwi SDR out in Lamont, Alberta. It was coming in there really, really strong. So any of you guys in the United States that want to try it, okay, the closer you are to what I believe is Nevada or somewhere there, it's very low power. Apparently, it's like just 1 watt, but it has a huge antenna, and it seems to be well built for 1 watt. 4095.6 CW or 4095 upper sideband. If you hear Morse code and then some whoop whoop sounds, that's what you're hearing. Check it out. I'd like to know if anybody of you guys out there are hearing it tonight. So let me know. Okay, chat room. Hey there, Bobby Burgess. Nice to have you here. WA5107SWL in Morgan City, Louisiana. Matt, MDK2 from Denver, Colorado, where fall has finally arrived. Here it's actually warm as we are speaking. It's 24 Celsius, which is what, about 75 Fahrenheit? And I mean, we are in darkness. Tomorrow is supposed to be above 80 Fahrenheit. It's kind of warm for this time of year, I can tell you that. Actually, we broke a record. We had never, since the data has been actually measured for temperature in Montreal, never since the start of temperature measurements in 1880 or 1870 something, has September in Montreal had every single day above 20 degrees Celsius until now. I mean, we're the 22nd. We haven't had a day below 20 degrees Celsius. So it's been pretty much 70 Fahrenheit or above all of September, every single day. And this has never happened in the history of measurements of temperature here. So, you know, something's happening, that's for sure. And if we look at the temperature, only starting something like Sunday or Saturday or Sunday are we going for the first time to be below 20 Celsius here in Montreal. So pretty crazy, but very beautiful September, honestly. Chris Alpha Tango, nice to have you on board, Chris, N3WER. Mark Cope in Dallas, Texas, WA5153SWL. Rob, nice to have you on board from Phoenix, Arizona. Real hot over there, 99 Fahrenheit. Rufus Newt, nice to have you here from the torrential rain in the Laurentian Valley, Ontario, VE3055SWL. Graham, nice to have you here from Milton. Nice to have you on board. Wet and stormy night. Bob D, that sounds like some kind of Agatha Christie novel or something. You know, there's going to be murder in the air and this wet and stormy night. Bob D, nice to have you here. David, KJ4CMY, nice to have you here from Central Georgia. We have Shelly, nice to have you here from South Central Pennsylvania. Richard Bidner, nice to have you here from Fort Worth. What else? TVDXer, j'espère que ça va bien. Moi, ça va bien, no problem. Canadian Radio TV guy, nice to have you here from Shorewood Park, Alberta, Canada. Been recovering from what I think is really bad head cold or possibly COVID, but I'm doing better, much better. Well, I hope you're fine. And if it was COVID, hope you're actually getting better and it's not, you know, gone to the extreme of going to the hospital. Stay safe and stay indoors and take care and listen to the radio. In those times when you don't feel well, it's the best. Paul, 6940, mixed radio booming in. Let's check that out. 6940. I have something very weak, but don't hear really much. Usually I hear mixed radio quite a lot. Richard Bittner, do the Malahite radios come with software pre-installed? Yes. So if you buy the real one from Georgia and Russia, you will have the official version complete, unlocked, with all the frequency range available and the features like Morse code decoding within the device and so on. If you buy it from China, most Chinese sellers give you the radio with the basic software. The software is there. It's all there. It's just that you need a key to unlock the rest of the software for a lot. Sometimes you need to download and install the new software. Some work with the fact that you download the latest software. The Chinese ones are kind of difficult to understand how to do this. If you if you're really interested in buying one, the no hassle way to get it is, even though it's going to be a long time before you do get it, is to get it direct from Georgia and Russia, for sure. But it's very interesting because, people are ranting, that Chinese cheap thing. Dan Robinson has reviewed the Chinese version of the second one and actually has been kind of saying that the Chinese version in many ways is a lot better than the original one from Russia. So you know what? That's kind of interesting here. So anyways, always look around and check it out. Okay, what else do we have? Gang of Four in New Hampshire. Nice to have you here. Joe Rutman, nice to have you here from Chicago. Joe, nice to have you here from Newmarket, Virginia. WF7I Homebrew, nice to have you on board from Soaked, Rural, Virginia. 4 inches of rain today so far. Wow. Michael Satterfield, K4AFT, nice to have you on board from South Carolina. John Beckham, nice to have you on board. RJDA Dakota, nice to have you here. WA0113SWL, nice to have you here from Missouri. Jeff King from Jacksonville, Florida. Brad, nice to have you here. Bobby Burgess, of course, I said hi. Dave Freeman, nice to have you on board, my friend. It's always nice to have everybody here. What else do we have that I'm missing here? Let me just try to find where I was. Okay, Dave Freeman. Okay. When Doves Fly. I like that. Reminds me of When Doves Cry by Prince. Nice to have you on board. Kamaxi76, nice to have you on board, and was very nice to have you on board last night and at the CIDX Zoom meeting. And it was really cool to hear a little more about you, and it was pretty cool. Hope you'll join regularly on the CIDX Zoom meeting. So what else do we have? Dwight Itchins, nice to have you here from Virginia. WF7I Homebrew. Any plans to do a 2021 Halloween special again with EQSL? Let me think about it. Still have a little more than a month away. I'm gonna come back with that and let you know what's gonna happen if I do something or not. I'm not sure yet. It will depend on a lot of little things going on right now, but I will keep you guys posted on that. Kyle, nice to have you on board. Eyebrow, nice to have you here from Arkansas. Broad's Killing, nice to have you here from Chicago. Not motivated to run outside wire in this weather. Kyle says I'm in the radio and I have a lot of videos here in my house. I've been in the radios when I was 8 years old. Cool. Brian Penny, nice to have you on board from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Jeff King finally broke down and bought a V115. Not impressive, but adequate. For the price. When you look at all that it does for the price, you're like, wow, okay. Matt's going to have a glass of wine. Cool. Kyle says, love your YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Rod Skilling is recommending a Glutenberg Red Ale. Quite good and is gluten-free. Dwight Hitchens, nice to have you here from coastal Virginia. John Beckham, Lacroix is a very good brand. Enjoy, my friend. Cool. RJDA Dakota had wine with his dinner. So we'll have wine as his dinner. Cool. I don't know what your name is, but I hope it is cold. Yeah, it's very cold. Very cold. Mobile Armor Strike Command SDRNO version 141 is out. Yep, I've installed it and been playing around with it a little bit. We'll be making videos on it a little more. Keegan, XN80Xer, nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. WF7I Homebrew. Tell us what the rant was about. No, not a good idea. Just going to rant more. Joe Tyson, nice to have you here from Apex, North Carolina, KM4WRQ. What else do we have? Matt, MDK2, I'm hoping to find a few more good Oktoberfest beers before the season is over. MP, nice to have you here. VT Radio, nice to have you here, Paul, in Northern Vermont, AA1SU. Ian Arling, nice to have you here from the UK, where it is early morning, basically. G7HFS, PA3/PA3IKH. What else do we have? When Doves Fly says, I agree regarding age versus brain. Yeah, absolutely. Stuart Hall says, I'm 51-year-old and still surprises me how old I am. How did the years pass so fast? That is, that we need to look a little closer to the Einstein theory of relativity. Maybe something happened with the time warp in our lives. James Johnson, nice to have you on board. KO4 or KO4. Wow, I had a hard one with this one. KO4 RNA in Jacksonville, Florida. Mike WX50, Northwest Arkansas. Pretty cool to have everybody here. Pretty cool to have everyone. Broad Skilling, my wife says my C-Crane EP Pro is my old man radio. Your old man radio. You can't help thinking about about that when I was at the park with my radios. There were tons of young. So there's a school not far from it, and at the time that I went there, one of the days, school ended, and there were tons of like teenagers going to the park to kind of talk a little bit and have a little bit of fun. They all were like looking at my radios, and I was like, okay, with the salt and pepper beard and everything is like, I'm pretty sure they're going by, and it's like, oh, look at that. Have you seen that old man with radios? What old technology. I bet he doesn't know what a computer's all about. And then you look at him, it's like, yeah, I got a YouTube channel. I know more than you. Oh God. But it was like, they were looking, like passing by, just looking. I was like, yeah, the old man is on the bench with radios. I mean, especially when you're a teenager, I probably look like, oh man, I hope I'm not going to look like that at that age. Matt says, are preppers also a thing in Canada? Yes, they are. They've been a big part of recent amateur radio licensees in the USA. Yes, absolutely. Preppers is a thing here also. Hmm. Ian, you're making me thirsty now. um, James Austin says, I got my ticket back in June, was worth the effort. It has opened up my radio experience. Cool. Simplio, nice to have you here from Oklahoma. Christian Marcoux, salut, j'espère que tu vas bien. Nice to have you here from North Bay, Ontario. Stuart Hall, do you have to take a course to get your license in Canada? Here in the US, you can just take the test. A class is optional. You know what? I haven't really looked around. I would guess if there's an examiner that is ready to, I mean, technically, what you need is to have the grades. Not the course is not, it's as like going to school and not studying, but you have the grades. You pass. You got it. You have the knowledge because technically you got the grades, you have the knowledge. So I would guess there's probably some examiners that were like, yeah, sure, but I think there's a lot of the examiners that are in the in the mode that, well, I'll examine you if you go through the class. um you know I know one thing is by reading the book I have learned quite a few things. So I understand why the class is required in a way, because even if you think you know stuff, there's a lot you don't know. And I've noticed in the book, because it has a lot of amateur radio stuff that was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Yet, and a guy like me, reading the book is enough. What I mean is, I could read that book, and that's what I'm done. I'm half done in it. I'm going to go through again as we go through the course. But what I find is that book, by going through it myself, gives me pretty much the knowledge I need that was missing. But I get that a course is important because not everybody there obviously is at my level. Not everybody that's going to be there tomorrow night knows electronics very well, or you know honestly, and I'll be fair, the fact that it's that the ham ticket is simply a exam. The exam is a multiple questions. Let's face it, multiple question exams are there to make things easy, because a real deal, you want to be a ham thing, would should be a, okay, explain this law, and like when I went to college. When you go to college, what's different with high school? High school is multiple questions exams all the time, or very often. Then you get to college, and college is like, no, there's no multiple question exams here. It's why does this happen, and explain. And you really need the knowledge now, because you got to explain yourself why your answer is that. In high school, 2 plus 2, oh, 4. Okay, cool. In college, it's 2 plus 2, 4. Okay, but you need to explain why. How did you get 2 plus 2 to get to 4? Please explain. You know. So obviously, it's okay. I understand that. In this day and age, we can't make an amateur radio course too tough. I think too many people are gonna just not want to be hams. At the same time, go back when Morse code was mandatory. Learning Morse code was probably, for a lot of people, the toughest part of the exam, and you had to go through it because you would not pass if you didn't go through it. And That is, my sister to get her license back in, I know she got it somewhere like in 78, 79. Morse code was mandatory. She had do Morse code. Much different than today. That was much different than today. And I don't know what it was in 79, but if probably was still a multiple, question thing, but obviously was more difficult that at that time than today. But I know that tomorrow we're going to be a gang of guys that are not at the same level. I know that maybe I'm not going to be at the top level, but I'm probably going to be one of the guys that is already high up in the levels of knowledge of radio, with others that might be there tomorrow that finally going to go through and do it and be also knowledgeable. And they decided that now's the time to get the license. But you'll be mixed in. We'll be mixed in with people that are the base, where they're like, well, I'm here. I don't know nothing about or almost nothing about electronics and radio in general. It's going to be interesting to see, and we'll see. We'll see, anyways. What else do we have? Some Pleo says, I studied Garden West's tech manual back in 2001. It was fun, but nowadays I also will find it boring. If I did not, let's put it in perspective. If I did not um, follow my electronics course back in 98-ish, it probably would be more interesting because there's the basic electronics that I would be learning. Where here in the book, I ain't learning. It's more of a refresh. It's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, oh currents, yeah, oh yeah, voltage, current, and so on, resistance, capacitance, and so on. So you look at it and you're like, yeah, I went through that already. And I did find it fun back then. And it's not that it's boring, but it's just it. Shelly says she'll be the teacher's pet. Oh God. I've never been the teacher's pet in all of my life. So I don't think that's going to change on the amateur radio course. I've always been the guy. I was not, my way of doing school was don't make waves. I didn't, we all have a different way of going through school. At the 25th anniversary reunion of our high school, there are a couple of people there that didn't come, and one in particular, I remember, sent me a Facebook message saying, "I ain't going there. These people laughed at me and treated me like trash when I was there. Why should I go?" And I understand that. It's like, yeah, okay, I get it. I did write back saying, well, people have changed and everything. We say people have changed, but what you understand and what you see when you get back to that 25 years is the same gang is still the same gang, and they're still hanging out together. And it's like, I never had a problem in high school because nobody treated me bad or anything. Actually, I was kind of a little bit of a nerd, and people kind of respecting me, and and I was already kind of a little wide, so it's like no one really wanted to get into a moment with me, because it was like, nah, maybe it's not a good idea. And I was like, nah. I was more in my bubble, but had a few friends and just went through like nothing. And for me, school was was okay. Was I can't complain. Um, my way of being in school was more of I'm not a teacher's pet. I'm not a bad guy, but I'm that guy somewhere in the middle that I got into a couple of trouble a few times. I remember. I know it's not radio, guys. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not boring you with the stories. I remember there was a class where we it was the math, the what is it? No, biology, and one day the biology teacher isn't there, and the woman that replaced had no authority over no one, and I tell you guys, no one. And that was a free for all time. And I still remember that afternoon where we took our desks, put them upright, and were throwing paper planes at each other like crazy. And by chance, the principal entered the room because he wanted to talk to her. And his face, when he saw that we were all like the desks were all upright and we were all sending paper planes. And his first phrase, I still remember, is looking at her and saying, "Isn't there something more educational that could be happening in this class?" And we all turned our desk back and we sat down because, like, okay, the principal's there. We're going to get into trouble. And I remember I was not the one that started it, but I was one of the first that probably started responding with planes. And she said, "Well, are there a few gentlemen here that are the cause of this chaos?" And she looks in the class and she points at me. She's like, he started throwing planes. I was like, "I'm not the one that started it." And I remember I looked at it. It's like, "I'm not the one that started it. It was already started when I threw a plane." And it was like, forget it. I had to go to the principal's office. And I had to do I think it was a 200 phrase petition of, "I will not," like Bart Simpson in the in the class, "I will not throw paper planes in class anymore." 200 times. And it was like, so I'm not, an angel, but I'm not the one that was always starting the problems when it happened. And I was not the teacher's pet. I was a mix in the middle of all of that. But I had good grades, so nobody complained and nobody ever said anything. Oh, man. Souvenirs. Sorry, I'm ranting and I'm more than half hour behind. Let's catch up here. Tom the Xer, WPE2QED. Nice to have you here from Hudson Valley, New York. Canadian radio TV guy. Everything I know about electronics, I taught myself. I had a lot of knowledge about it also, basically, but my electronics course was more of, learning the, okay, if you have 120 volts going through a 2-watt resistor, how many amps are you actually getting through? Stuff like that. So my electronic course actually gave me the math behind how to calculate all of that. But I, kind of had the basic understanding of how to design and how to do it without the math at first. Oh, man. What else do we have? But I will get my ticket. Don't worry, guys. I will get my ticket. Brett Wayne, nice to have you here. KC2NXP says, "Good luck. You will have fun." Yeah, that's what we're going to try to do. 6945 for Mixed Radio International, apparently now. Is it still on? Not really getting anything here. Yeah, I know, James Johnson. I'm gonna trust my instincts. Cone Patch DX been a ham for so long, and so much has changed, but also so much is the same too. So I believe your technical background adds your super knowledge. about radio and propagation related will help. Oh, for sure, for sure. Thank you, John Beckham. What else we have? Mitch, nice to have you here from Buckeye, Arizona. Find that transmitting is a whole different world than shortwave listening. Lots of variables. Just my half cent. Yep. Oh, it is definitely. There's a difference. KJ7C18. Nice to have you here. Sorry, guys. Sweet MDK2 says that he's found. Wow, I learned. I lost my space. I hate it when that happens. Sorry, guys. I'm just gonna. Okay. I'm gonna try to go fast here to reach out to the bottom. So here we go. Here we go. So VE2FGJ radio. For years, I wished you get your license and be able to transmit on the bands. Ham radio is a lot of fun. I'm sure you will enjoy it. Oh, I know I will. That's for sure. So Matt, MDK2 Sweet just found that my FT8 QSO at Antarctica Station 8 J1RL was confirmed. Cool. This is cool. Antarctica, that's a nice one. So that's pretty nice. Steve, nice to have you on board. Good evening. Fanboy 101, what shortwave channel are you on? This channel, official SWL channel. Broadskilling, nice to have you here. And always nice to have everybody on board. You will be glad you checked that box. Get that course and test done. Yep. Vince Perrault, salut, j'espère que tu vas bien. Nice to have you here. Let's go down. If I miss out on anybody, sorry. Say hi again. Bear in mind that I'm an hour behind right now. Barry, nice to have you here. Matt, 4095.6. I've copied that beacon a couple of times. Cool. We'll try to remember to look for it tonight. Those are mostly wintertime catches for me. Yeah, 4095.6. 4095 upper sideband. What else do we have? Throw your link to your YouTube channel in the Teams chat. Yeah, maybe I was wondering if I'd do like my name and official SWL channel YouTube, just to kind of push it there and say, look, I'm the guy behind this. Brad, not hearing it. Maybe when the sun goes down. Yeah, that low frequency when the sun goes down is going to be better. Butterbean, that's crazy. Here in southern Georgia, it's 63. So here we are at 75 at this time of night on September 22nd. Pretty cool. Randy, Riverside, California. Nice to have you on board. James Johnson not picking it up. Hector Vasquez, nice to have you here from Los Angeles, California. WF7I Homebrew. Tonight I'm seeing images of Brother Stair show on the 15-meter ham band on my RSP Duo. Anyone else seeing this behavior? I'm not an expert user of this radio. If you're using SDR Uno on the main control panel, switch between LIF and wait, let me just bring it up because I forget it all the time. So there's ZIF or LIF. ZIF is for 0IF and LIF for low IF. If you have an image, switch, click on that ZIF or LIF little icon. It's going to switch the IF and the image is going to go away. So it can happen sometimes on a SPR, on an SDR play. Just switch the RF between LIF and ZIF. If you're not sure when you have an image or anything, don't think I've ever had one in that range of frequencies. But on the low part of the frequencies, in the 2-3 megahertz, sometimes I have medium wave stations popping there. by switching, you know that that you're not that you're getting depending on where you are. What else do we have? Because you might be on the 15-meter handband getting 15770. There's WRMI that has Brother Stare, and it's very strong sometimes. Canadian Radio TV guy says XFM on 6925. Hey, bonjour, hi, Eric Cottrell. Nice to have you here from Boston area. I'm hearing something weak on 6925. But I can't say nothing much here, actually, at this time. Keegan says my aunt in the Texas Panhandle said it got down to 48 this morning. Wow, that's kind of cool. CyberGhost 74, nice to have you on board. How much milliamp capacity a BL5C battery that is included in the Texan PL330? It's a standard 1,000 or 1,200 milliamp hour. It's pretty much the standard. Keep in mind that the BL5C battery cannot be higher than 1,500 milliamp hour. Anybody that tells you it's more than that, that ain't true. It doesn't work like that. The limit of a BL5C is at the most 1,500 milliamp hour. And I believe the PL330 is 1,200 or maybe 1,000, but it lasts quite long, actually. Dimitri, nice to have you here from Minnesota. BT Radio, I check 4095.6 on my sunrise and let you know what I hear. Cool. Because I haven't heard it yesterday here, but I would hear it on the Kiwi SDR from the other channel. Hey, Cal Nipper, why don't you go to hell? I was about to say a bad word. And here we go. It masked. So there won't be, you won't even be able to comment anymore. How idiot can you be? This is the example of the most idiot people on YouTube. Idiot people that think that you go troll people, other people to get views. Yeah, right. Daniel O'Connor, VA3DKF. Nice to have you here. Building a bicycle mobile and looking for a great antenna that I can use while pedaling. Oh, that's an interesting one. I need to check it out more. Electric Charles says that the recording feature in 1.41 is neat. I'll have to check more about it and do some videos. Tyrone from Seattle, N5 TLV. Video Radio, Jill, I was W1Z for the WBZ 100 year special event Friday night and Sunday night. Oh, wow, really? You were a part of that. That's cool. That is cool. EK Banjo's World Bug Out. Nice to have you on board from Kentucky, my friend. Mad Max 2069, nice to have you on board. First thing I thought of when I got my radio was of my great grandpa sitting on the porch with this little AM radio listening to the Reds baseball game. Cool. Blind Picker, nice to have you here, Rob. W0RAB in Connecticut. Always nice to have you on board. Chas Tank, nice to have you here from Louisville, Kentucky. Eric Cottrell, it looks like Paco Levesque and Lachine would be great for remote listening. It really sticks out into the river. Yep. I've been there quite a few times. There's actually people that like biking. There's actually The St. Lawrence Seaway, when it was built, of course, is separate from the St. Lawrence River, and there's a band of land that was left to separate the St. Lawrence River and the St. Lawrence Seaway. That band is actually very long, several kilometers, and you can actually bike. You actually go to the Gilles Villeneuve Formula One racing track by bicycle, and when you get to the end, you pass where there's the bridge, and you actually start going on that band um, of land, and you go for kilometers. If you just go through it and continue, you end up at Parc René Lévesque when you go to the total end. Very nice place and remote, very remote. Indeed, probably a very nice place for radio. I would need to check that out. It must be a great place to radio on for sure. And it's a nice park. Mobile Armor Strike Command. I took their amateur radio course. I downloaded the question pool and studied each questions. What else do we have? Dave Freeman, Joe, just looking at your shortwave radio, SI 3247. Was wondering if you have tested one of this radio Amazon is selling for 78. 3247. I haven't checked that. On Amazon? Let me just check something here. So I do have a ATS 25, by the way, guys, coming in the mail. Just saying. Someday it should be SI 4237. What's that? What is that? What is that? I don't see anything that goes with that model number here. Maybe on Amazon US, but can you expand a little more on what that is? So nice to have you here, Blind Picker. Better late than never, as they say. Yeah, Eric Cottrell, absolutely. I still need to learn the rules. You are right about that. Andy New, bonjour. Nice to have you on board, Andy from the UK. Thinking of getting the MLA30 for indoor use in my ground floor. Can I adapt it for use with my Texan receivers as well as my SDRs? Yeah, the SDR is usually going to work from the start because most SDRs have an SMA connector. For your Texan receivers, you'll not need to buy an adapter. But once you have the adapter, it actually works. So what else do we have? John Becken, doesn't the ARRL, American Radio Related, publish a book on how to obtain a ham license? In the US, yeah, you do have that book. But US and Canadian ham radio rules, regulations, and questions are different. Michael Brown, nice to have you here. Definitely, R8500 is great radio. Eric Cottrell, the exam is a piece of cake compared to the commercial radio telephone exam. I bet. Absolutely. So, James M. sending out SOS. Sunpleo took vocational electronics. Cool. Victor Osorio, nice to have you here and hope to hear you in the HF bands. Absolutely. Going to be fun. Scott, KC2CAD. When I tested for my Tech Plus multiple choice and 5 words per minute and then upgraded to general, was multiple choice and 10 words per minute code. Cool. What else do we have? Barry 7420, I believe, is Radio Romania, if I'm not mistaken. Just that's Radio Romania 7420. Chess Tag. The only reason I went to my 20-year high school reunion was to show off my ex-wife, 10 years younger than me. Oh man. Michael Brown, I hope you get on the air soon. I've been a Shortwave listener for 50 years. I'm licensed since 2007. All my friends across the pond here in the USA started Shortwave DXers. Cool. Welcome aboard. So, no, 7420 is Radio Romania. They have a pretty good signal in general here in North America. In what is, yep, Radio Romania. I think there's a Romanian service, but that is Radio Romania, definitely. Ken, when did you start getting into shortwave? Officially, that I knew that it was shortwave, 1982. But unofficially, I didn't know what I was doing with a shortwave radio, with a radio that had SW1, SW2. 1979, 1980-ish. Steve in Australia, nice to have you on board. William Helms, nice to have you on board from Florida. What else do we have? Just going to try to go down a little faster to catch up and be able to be there. John Beckham, I'm enjoying your show tonight from a remote location as I am out of town for a couple of days without any shortwave radios. Okay, cool. Take care. What else do we have? Brad, it's good to be the gray man sometimes in school. Oh, yeah. You know, I wasn't making waves, but I was there. Jay Watterson 69, nice to have you on board. Vasti, nice to have you here. Thank you very much. Let's try to. Let's see here. Okay. Yeah, that is a sad thing about the CC Skywave SSB having no antenna jack, especially that all radios at that price do, and even radios that are less expensive. Canadian Radio TV guy is 6950 station, pirate station, loud and clear in Alberta. What else do we have? Dimitri, when you will become officially ham radio operator, which the band will you like to hang out with others people? If when I get my ham license, I know that I will be mainly an HF radio guy. So any amateur bands will be my place in the HF range. I will probably be more into like the 40, 20 and so on amateur bands. Because of their propagation characteristics and being a little, less local, especially at different times of the day. But I'll be everywhere. Honestly, I'll be everywhere. I can't say there's going to be a favorite band. I know I'm going to be on 10 meters when 10 meters opens. I'll be everywhere, honestly. Van Dan Escobar, nice to have you here from Melbourne. WF7I changed the ZIF to LIF and then changing decimation to 8. Got rid of almost all of the 15-meter images. Still a couple tiny spikes, though. And don't forget not to push that RF gain to maximum all the time. I leave the RF gain about 75%-ish. It also prevents from some of the very strong images. So take care, WF7I Homebrew. What else do we have? Michael Brown copied CHU second harmonic on 6660 on 3 separate rigs. Interesting. Pretty cool. What else do we have? NJDXer, nice to have you on board from New Jersey. Always nice to have you here, Ray. What else do we have? What else do we have? Let me just go down, and I've reached the bottom. We've reached the bottom. Cool. Hey, now we are in real time live from Montreal, Quebec. So nice to have all of you here. And JDA Dakota, I could get stuck without a lot of things, but I wouldn't like getting stuck without a shortwave radio. Yep, pretty much. Bob Lewin, nice to have you here from New Jersey. Anthony, without blowing your cover, I'd love to take the class in Montreal. Can you point me in the right direction? Yeah, right now the classes are all virtual, Anthony. So for actually right now, no one is really doing a in-class event. So the class that I took, it comes from it's the Radio Amateurs of Canada class, and it's a station, a VO1 station that is giving the class. So it's really a virtual event. It's really a virtual event for now, and I don't know when official in-class amateur classes are going to actually come back. It's kind of a complex situation right now everywhere, basically. Michael Brown, the worst thing about getting your ham ticket is how you obsess. Yeah, we're gonna, don't worry, guys. A lot of people are coming back to me saying, "Hey, you know what? You shouldn't, get your ham license. You're gonna stop talking about shortwave and being on this channel." And it's like, no, ain't gonna happen. My listening heart is gonna be there. Simplio, is Trenton Radio saying Shearwater? There is a place called that sounds like that. I don't think you spell it the way that you put it. Shearwater, I think is. Let me just check it out. Well, there's a Shearwater city. So there is definitely a Shearwater place, because Trenton actually will mention all the cities that have military bases. So there's probably a place called Shearwater in Canada. Rick, nice to have you here from Milwaukee. Paul, what sort of antenna do you plan on using for transmit? I have no idea yet, because I'm going to have to assess how and where to put it. So for now, I'm not there yet, but I will have to look into it for sure. VT Radio has CKDO in Oshawa, Ontario on 1580. Yeah, that one usually comes in quite well here. 1580. I remember, I don't know if you guys remember or if you were listening, 4 or 5 years ago, that station in 1580 kilohertz was doing a special on DXers, guys that actually like to listen to long distance transmissions on radio. And they were actually taking calls and talking about who are these people that listen to long distance stations. I'm trying to remember when it happened. It was several years ago. I still remember that 1570 CBC station out of Chicoutimi, 1580, sorry, station out of Chicoutimi was on the air also, and making it difficult back then. But I was able to null out the Chicoutimi station in order to listen to the Oshawa Ontario station several years ago. Ja, happy Wednesday. It's been forever. Hope you and the cat are good. Absolutely. Dimitri, how many questions you need to get past in order to get your new Lime license? So here we have a 100 question exam. You need to have at least 60% to be a ham, but at 60% but below 80%, you are just VHF, UHF privileges, and that's it. 80% above, you have what's called basic with honors. You get HF privileges also, and that's what I'm aiming for, of course. The fossil channel, nice to have you here. Anthony, what happened to the BBC at 8 p.m. Eastern at 0 UT? Yep, they actually have left the 9575 kilohertz frequency. So BBC used 9575 for almost all summer, which was an amazing frequency here in the East Coast. They left that frequency about 2 weeks ago, and they moved on to the 41 meter band. But the problem is they went to 7390 or something like that. The problem is that 9575 was out of Wolferton, UK. The 7390 is actually out of, I think, the Armenia transmitter site. Doesn't make it here. So that's the sad part. And let's cross our fingers that maybe some winter frequency they're going to use is going to be good here when the schedules change at the end of October. Sheldon Harvey, nice to have you here from Greenfield Park, Quebec. Device 9 from Western Washington, nice to have you here. Radio Nacional Arizona on a new frequency 6180 as well as 11780. Yeah, they usually have both frequencies working on 6180 is also a regular Amazonas frequency. Pretty good. So that's 6180. And that's 11780, which is as good. Amazingly good signal. 11780 and 6180, both great frequencies for Radio Nacional Arizona and Brazil. Here in Montreal also. Fossil channel, have you guys ever used an Elecraft KX2, KX3 for listening? How about a Kenwood? Any thoughts? Most of these are usually quite good. Larry Fields, I'm hearing what sounds like a weather fax on 7395. Well, 7395 is not a weather fax frequency. And I think there's maybe a radio teletime signal, but it's very weak here. Larry Fields from Manila, nice to have you here. But 7395, you shouldn't have technically anything weather fax. You could have maybe some other digital mode. That's not impossible. So, Brad, tell us again what listening to for 4095. I'm hearing poorly modulated point type beeps. That's pretty much what you should hear. 4095.6 CW or 4095 upper sideband. You should hear Morse code IDs, and in between you should hear these whoop, whoop, whoop like sweeping tones. And that's what we were talking about earlier. Vince, is that normal? As CKDU 1580 is in medium wave upper sideband? It's not in upper sideband. It's in AM mode. So you should be hearing it in AM mode. There's no upper sideband on. But what is happening is that you are, 1570 is that station in Laval, Vince. So you might actually need to be in upper sideband to get away from that Laval station on 1570. That might be very strong where you are, but it's an AM mode. It's it's an AM station. It's a medium wave station. Have I ever played bingo on the radio? Nope. But it's funny that you ask, because there's a station I listen to that has Saturday morning bingo here on FM. What else do we have? RJ88 Dakota 4885 Radio Club do Para Brazil. Let's check it out. 4885. Yeah, it's definitely coming in. Definitely coming in. Let's check out a 60-meter band. It's something I want to check. Actually, not too bad. You guys try it out. 4940. La Montana, Colombia. 4940. La Montana, Colombia. I can hear some talking. And WWV and 5 megahertz. Check something here. On 10, 15. A little bit on 5. Okay. Huh. La Montana, Colombia coming in a little bit. Michael Brown, great channel. I have the 909X, 909X2. I felt ripped off tonight. I put the X2 on my external antenna. It works pretty well. A lame shortwave portable, a decent home unit. It's not that it's that bad, but for the price, there's a few things they should have worked out. That's for sure. Richard, nice to have you here from Albany, New York. Sheldon, CBJ, she could see me in CKDO, Oshawa were never on 1580 at the same time. They weren't at the same time. So one was after the other. Okay. Well, something like that. CBJ left in 1580 98, and they moved in 2006. So I guess, okay. So I guess that's when they did their specials, maybe, well, later than 2006, but at some point, CKDO made that special. Maybe I was nulling out another station at that time, because 1580 CBJ was very, very strong here. It was the dominant station on 1580 in Montreal, the one from Chicoutimi. Maybe I was nulling something else. For some reason, I thought it was I thought it was CBJ, but it's probably a mix in my mind. But CKDO did have that specials on weird people that listen to long distance station one evening. I still remember. I listened actually on my Super Radio 3 when that happened. I don't know what year they did that though. Vince, yeah, looks like I have two stations when I'm not in USB. Yeah, 1570 is that Laval station, and 1580 that you're hearing, Vince, is CKDO in Oshawa. Larry Fields, is the Canadian involvement on 15035 still around? It's 15034 and upper sideband. They are still around. Two frequencies for that Trenton military station. 6754 and 15034 still going. CHU is still working. Frequencies 3330, 7850 and 14670. CHU moved that 7 megahertz frequency many years ago Because if you guys remember, CHU Canada was on 7335 for a long time. Then there was the ITU change in what the frequency bands were allowed, and that meant that CHU, to comply with the ITU, was to move that frequency. And they actually took the time to think about if they should be moving or shutting it down. And after probably enough mail and enough people saying, no, don't shut that down, they moved from 7335 to 7850, which is now their frequency. For some reason, I don't know if they changed something. I have the impression that I heard 7335 more often here than 7850 today. So I'm always wondered if they had changed something in the pattern of the antennas or the power output. I don't know. Matt, MDK2, Whooper on 4095.6, really strong. So it seems to be stronger on the West Coast, basically. What else do we have? So Richard says hello to all the shortwave friends. Anthony, I've done some outdoor shortwave listening in the past. How far away from 725 kilovolt power lines do you have to be? You don't have to be that far. You know, when I go to Perry Island, there's actually some very high powered lines that cross. They follow the railroad track that's on the west side of the island. But when I'm totally on the east side, and that is maybe 150 feet away, 200 feet from the power lines, the noise level is almost inexistent. I would guess maybe also how much you know, how well maintained, we'll say, the power lines are. What's on 6292.1 AM? Hearing voices, tones, and someone screaming. Well, there are Euro pirates on the 6 megahertz range. So it's not impossible that you might be getting some kind of Euro pirate, especially in AM mode, because 6292 is either a Euro pirate or some. So the only thing I could see is a Euro pirate or some kind of pesky fisherman, but they're usually in single sideband. RTD Dakota, Colombian 4940 also comes in. Michael Brown gets the Texan 990 tomorrow. Yeah, it's a great radio. You're going to love it. It's a great radio. It's really top of the line radio. Momal Armor Strike Command, almost done with the redesign and organizing of Boulder Hill. Cool. Brett Wayne, 4940 S7 in Salamanca, New York, KC2NXP. Cool. So that's La Montana, Colombia, that station down in Colombia, South America. Is that apparently at the border between Colombia and Venezuela? Take care, Barry. Good night. Michael Brown, good copy on 4940 in Western North Carolina on the ICOM 7410. So cool. So people are hearing La Montana, Colombia. That's nice. BT Radio 4940, faint here in Vermont. Typically, as we get more and more to the northern part, I'm still here, Chris Alpha Tango. Fossil Channel says, enjoy your video. Help me choose shortwave radios. Cool. That's what I'm here for. Keegan, remember hearing the announcement on CHU to move from 7330 to 7850 in 2009. Cool. Matt found this at HFU. Yeah, that's where they have a pretty big. Sheldon shared it on the World of Radio group yesterday. Also, all the details of the Desert Whooper on 409565. Pretty cool. As we have Larry Fields. Fortunately, here in region, not all broadcast stations have vacated 73.9 the 7200 to 70. Some contesters have tried to run there. Well, actually, 7200 and above is an international broadcast frequency that is for Europe, Middle East. So there, they are allowed to use those frequencies for shortwave broadcasting. Actually, I know that we sometimes talk about what hams should know and not. But when I remember last summer, not this one, but the summer before, the Voice of Islamic Republic of Iran in French was coming in quite well around 23 UT here in the summer, and I would hear U.S. hams screaming and ranting and saying that this is not allowed and that they're going to report it and so on. And I'm sorry, but as a ham radio operator, you need to know how your ham bands are divided and what's allowed or not. And I know a lot of you said, well, it's not required to know that. I'm sorry, it is. It's a basic knowledge of knowing what your ham bands are divided into. You have to know that 72 to 7300 is shared with international broadcasters in certain regions of the world. And I do not accept the fact that somebody can tell me, well, we don't have to know that. You should. You want to be what amateur radio is all about? I'm going to be ham radio. You want to be serious about it? We need to know these stuff. You need to stop ranting at, well, this station shouldn't be here. Who are you to say that if you don't know your regulations and what it is? So, I found that it was more stupid of that ham to do that than anything else. There are AM bands that you got to understand are shared. 60 meters, those channels on 60 meters. Hams are secondary. If a utility pops up or some, station from, the military or whatever, you got to shut up and you got to let that frequency to that guy because that's the guy that owns the frequency. It's primary. You'll get it back once they're finished. Things that don't happen very often. Most of the time it's okay, but you need to know that. You need that you are not the primary user of certain frequency ranges. There are places where you are. There are places where the ham bands are ham bands, nothing else. And you're king of the radio waves. But you need to know where it's not. And, it was worse than that because in the 70s and 80s, the 41 meter band international broadcast band actually started at 7100 kilohertz. And a lot of stations used it. Radio Moscow was all over the place, like on 7110, 7150, 7180. I mean, then it changed because there was a change in regulation. And it was only 7200 kilohertz and above. So, you can't rant about it. It's the way it is. And that's the way the bands have been divided and shared. So, that part is they are allowed to in certain regions of the world. A station in North America is not allowed to broadcast. Like WWCR, for example, can be above 7300 kilohertz, but it would not be allowed to be around 72 to 7300. It's not in this region. It's not allowed. But in Europe and the Middle East, it is. And propagation being what it is, well, it often comes up to here, So, what do you mean, Brad? You had to mute me. Larry Fields, 14670, come in a few times, but usually around 13 UT. Bonne nuit, TVDXer. Fais attention à toi. Samedi. Hmm. What else do we have? Drew Bard says faint signal on 4940. Well, John, if you only hear Brother Stare, you really need to do more listening and do it outside where there's no noise. I can tell you that. Because there's a lot more than Brother Stare. Maybe change the day of the time of day you're listening also. New Jersey DXer received a cool QSL from Tony of Pop Shop Radio, Hope, BC. Tony also sent me informative email about his history with shortwave listening in response to the reception report. Cool. Sean Harvey, the special CKDO program for the Xers was October 5th, 2006. So after they started, oh, that's interesting. Wow, that old. That old, October 5th, 2006. Man, it feels like, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, but not 2006. But it would be, I would understand why they would have done that at that time, being on that frequency. So thanks for the info. Wow, October 5th, 2006. Man, that old, 15 years ago. I can't believe it. Wow. Thanks for sharing. Anthony, Texan 990 versus 501. If you got the money, go for the 501. You can have a hell of a good radio. Stereo FM. That thing is, we called it a shortwave boombox. It truly is a shortwave boombox. So you should go to the 501. But the Texan 990 is very good. Armor Mobile Armor Strike Command. This is what I bought. ATS 25 SI 47. Yeah, okay. I got that. That's what I purchased also. It's on its way eventually. Let's see if they have changed the date of delivery or anything. So if I go to my orders, track package was shipped, and nothing much more. It left China on September 20th. So we'll see. There's a tracking ID delivered by SFC service, whatever that is. So I don't know. It says arriving October 15th to November 10th. Let's hope that it's closer to the October 15th. What else here? Mike WX50, time to call night. Take care. Stay safe, my friend. Michael Brown, to be fair, Columbia is a great skip distance from here. 7410 is ridiculous. Shortwave rig. 10 kilocycles on AM. Just great and superior for ECSS. What else do we have? As we go down. What else do we have? Fossil channel. There's the ARL band plan here. It's a good reference to use when operating. Michael Brown remembers the evil woodpecker and the only upside of Chernobyl. Fossil channel. Question for you. What's your favorite ultra portable radio? I would guess. What would you do to improve upgraded? My favorite ultra. You mean portable radio? Is that exactly what you're saying? What portable radio would be my favorite, and what I would yeah, okay, and what I would improve upon it. Man, depends what portable means also now, because with the H501X, it's a portable, but it's a big portable. Let's say I'll take a few portables. because it depends how big a portable you want a portable to be. Texan PL330, which is a small, very easy travel light portable to bring everywhere. Great and amazing portable. What I would improve, I would remove the chuffing when you tune with the tuning knob, and I would make sure that the display has RDS on FM. Add that. Killer little portable radio. That makes it the best all around performer and feature packed radio for the price. Texan PL330. XH Data D808. Remove that chuffing and the tuning again. That would be. And for the size that it has, let us put 3 AA batteries in there instead of that 18650. Something like that. I think it would fit in some way. But what else? Texan PL990X. Great radio. H501s. I'll put them in the same category. They're bigger. My overall favorite right now is the Texan H501X. Texan PL990X is also very close. What I would do to make them better, RDS on FM, and add the capability of recording on the SD card. These two radios would have become the best radio ever to have at this point in time, without any doubt, because of all the killer features they would have had. So, hoping it answers the question. The FCC. Doug Noble, nice to have you here, Doug. I bought a clock radio back in the 80s, which got incredible reception of faraway stations, totally unexpected. One night radio Belize received with it. Wow. Crazy. No, SFC. Sierra Fox. Charlie. Not FCC. Ultra portable. Texan PL330 for ultra portable. Add no chuffing. Add the RDS feature on FM. Amazing. But remove the chuffing. Dan, nice to have you here from Ohio and AWJC. Shortwave listener, I heard the Taiwan broadcast with only 1 kilowatt yesterday from the other side of the world. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you heard CRI jammer and not the Taiwan broadcast. Pretty much nobody hears the Taiwan broadcast. It's always a CNR1 jammer, a shortwave listener. I don't want to make you sad, but it's really pretty much always the China radio jammer. Well, you know what, Mad Max? For me, the chuffing is not a problem, because I never use the radio in that way in a portable. I always punch in frequencies, or I use the ETM scan or stuff like that. So what's chuffing? Okay. I'll do a nice demonstration and you're going to immediately understand what chuffing is. Let me tune 6,000 kilohertz on the H501X. That does not have chuffing or muting when you tune around. When I tune, you'll hear that I just tune. It's smooth. So you hear a transition. It just goes from frequency to frequency until you hear signals and so on. Now, let me put the same frequency here for Cuba, 6,000. But now I'm going to tune with the tuning knob, which I did with the other radio. But here's what it sounds like. You see that? It mutes every time I turn. There's a little moment where there's no audio. That's chuffing or muting. A lot of radios do that today. And for a lot of people that tune with the tuning knob, it's annoying. So that's what we talk about when we talk about chuffing or muting on a radio. Glenn Zeckman, nice to have you on board from Wet, Ohio. We're supposed to have some rain tomorrow here. Christian Marcoux, take care. Always nice to have you on board. Fais attention à toi. No, you're not the only one from Ohio, Mad Max. There's quite a few from Ohio. It's like Massachusetts. There's a few states where it's like there's a concentration of radio listeners or amateur radio operators. Jim Howard, nice to have you here. N0UWY in Texas. Nice to have you on board. Pretty cool. So CNR1 is pretty much that what you hear in general. What do we have? So Helen Richards got the Grundig 750 recently. Something has caused the audio to only work with high signal levels. Thereafter, it goes nearly silent. Works on FM, but all other bands are affected. Wow, that is sad. Remove the batteries. One first trick that I would do, which usually works very well, is remove the batteries from the Grundig 750. Make sure it has no power for at least 24 hours and resist the temptation to do it after only 5 hours. 24 hours. And put the batteries back and the power back and listen if it fixed the problem. It could be just that the radio's little CPU is kind of, as a glitch, and it can't get out of it until it kind of resets completely. If it has a reset on it, the radio, start by trying to reset also, because it shouldn't be doing that. And it could be just a little glitch that's going to be fixed with that trick. Or else, well, maybe something went wrong with the electronics or something. Michael Brown, tune 3795. I will call for Europe. What's your call sign? 3795. And give us your call sign. So here we go. Yeah, Rufus, I thought that doing the demonstration was the best way to show what exactly is chuffing or muting on the radio. And yeah, try that. You know what, Alan? You have 90% chances that it's going to actually come back to normal. I don't know how many times some of my radios went berserk and did weird things and removed the battery 24 hours, put them back and back to normal. Everything's okay. It's one of those tricks that is surprisingly good at fixing problems. So here I am opening the watermelon basil apple cider, and we'll see what this one tastes like. One thing that is interesting is they all have the same color, which is apple cider color. That refreshing taste of apple cider. Oh man, that smells. Oh, the basil. That is weird. Oh man, that is so weird. It's like if what would I describe the smell? Imagine you got a glass of apple cider and that you um, tripped over something and fell in a garden full of basil. That's what it would probably smell like. So cheers. It's not bad, but it has a very, very distinct taste. Wow. Okay, but not bad, honestly. Better. I like better the pineapple, but it's not bad, and it has a distinct aftertaste of basil or basilic in French. Um, so what else do we have? What else do we have? Um, let me just check it out here, make sure that I didn't miss anything. So, Bobby Burgess, who told me one time you're not a true DXer unless you break your radio's kickstand. Oh man, I don't know how many radios I break the kickstand. I have at least 3 or 4 radios. The kickstand is dead, but thanks to some really cool and generous YouTube viewers, I have 3 stands to put the radio on. The one in that's 3D printed with official SWL channel on it, and 2 wooden stands also. So no kickstand, no problem. I've got those stands to put the radio on, at least. Shortwave listener, let me sound a dumb question, but how long does it take for a QSL card to arrive? I sent one to Radio Romania, and I live on the East Coast. That's a very variable question. It depends who you sent the report to. It could be anywhere from about 2 to 3 weeks to months. And it really depends on several factors: what country, what station, how you sent it, email or by postal mail, and so on. But Radio Romania is a great QSLer. It is one of the stations that you will get a QSL. So be patient, it's going to arrive. Like I said, could be a couple of weeks, it could be many months. It really depends on the station that you are trying to QSL. Paul, I want to get a SMA to 3.5 millimeter adapter for the 51X antenna. Will it matter if it is stereo or mono on the 3.5 side? Doesn't matter. I have my W6 LVP in the back. I use a stereo plug. Works great. As long as the tip is really the because the stereo has separations. You make sure that the tip is on the antenna. That's the only important thing to it. Just for the rest, works great. Works great. Keegan, I'm one of at least 3 radio listeners in Arkansas in the official channel YouTube chat. So cool. Fossil channel, if you built any antennas, if what kind? If not, what would you build if you had the tools? Before I moved here, my main let's do a little antenna history. My antenna history. I'm going to do it like that. So I started listening in 1982. I know nothing about antennas except the fact that I see these books that say just put wires. Of course, these books are very specific. They have wire lengths and where to put them and how to set them up and so on. But in general, they just, tell you to put wires. So in 82, 83, 84-ish, pretty much my main antenna is a 150-foot wire that goes from my front balcony over the roof to the backyard fence. And that worked great. Especially back then, there was not a lot of noise. So that was an amazing antenna. And that's what I used for a long time. Moved to my new place in 91 ish. Over there, it was a little difficult because the landlord didn't want antennas or anything. So I put a really thin wire that he couldn't see and that he never saw in all of the 10 years that I lived there. Not even 10 years, like 8 or 9 years. It was crossing the backyard from my second floor balcony in the backyard. I put it up at night when he was sleeping, so he didn't know. He never noticed. And that was my shortwave antenna, which was really good. Once again, it was about 80 feet-ish wire. It came out of my bedroom. The window was on the side of the house. It went from the Kenwood, not even a coax or anything, from the Kenwood through the window and all through the backyard fence, the telephone pole. And that was my main antenna. That also worked great. Low noise at that place. It was great. That was my main antenna. I did a dipole when I was in the 80s. So I got my first CB base that I got for Christmas. I didn't have an antenna. So I looked at antenna books and I actually, took out the calculator and calculated how much I should have for a quarter wave and stuff like that. And I actually taped the wire to the ceiling of my living room. My mom was really happy. Ceiling in the living room, and it actually worked wonders. I did great contacts with my CB back in the 80s with that. And it was a homemade thing with a coax to the CB, but it was indoors in the living room ceiling. Moved here, tried different lengths, different positioning of the antennas. But when I moved here, it was a game changer. It was the first time ever that I got confronted with a very high level of noise. It's something you don't think about until you get into it. So when I moved from, where I was young, where living with my parents, to the other place, you don't think about noise. And from the other place to here, I was used to having low noise. So I was like, I didn't even think about it. When I moved here, it took probably a couple of months before I turned on the radio for the first time ever. I put a wire outdoor in the back. And when I turned on the radio, oh God, that was devastating. It was like, is this the end of my hobby as it is? Because this is crazy, noisy, impossible to listen to. Think about it today. It's probably worse than it was 20 years ago. So a viewer sent me a IN fed with a 9-to-1 balun antenna that I put up for several years, and that was my main antenna. Then because of the positioning, I turned it into a sloper, and it was very noisy. Here, any wire type antennas are extremely noisy. And that's where at some point I thought, okay, if I find a way to do some more radio listening, or I just abandon the hobby. It was coming to a moment where I did not have fun with my radios here at all. I would go to Perry Island where it's super quiet and come back home depressed of not hearing anything anymore. Where over there I would hear tons of things with just a piece of wire. And that's where I turned to loops, magnetic loops that were apparently magical antennas and amazing antennas to use. They got me back some of the listening. There are things I hear that I would not have heard with the sloper. There are things I hear that any long wire antenna was impossible to hear. So it did bring back some of their listening. And thanks to these loops, because I'll say it, probably before I got the MLA30 and antenna and so on, I my thoughts of just quitting the hobby and doing something else and forgetting about shortwave was getting more and more of a real day thing. This is where I find it sad for our hobby. When I see people and the channel that tells me I got a radio, I have the same radio you have. I see what you hear. I don't hear any of it. Um, I feel sad because it's a difficult thing to explain. It's like, well, maybe where you are, East Coast. Well, maybe you have too much noise because you should hear some stuff in the East Coast that I hear. West Coast, that's a different thing. People living more into the West Coast, some of the stuff I hear are harder to hear there. Voice of Turkey, Radio Romania, ain't that easy in the West Coast of North America that it is here in the East, where they boom in. These stations boom in. Of course, the same is true of other things like, Radio New Zealand booms in on the West Coast like crazy. Well, here it's, I listen to it in the summer, but in the wintertime, maybe in the morning, some of the frequencies. But I mean, it's something that it's a little complex. There's a lot of signals out there. Problem is, when signals tend to be weaker in a certain area where we are, this is where it gets complicated, because if your noise level is a little high, it washes out all of what you can listen to. I just go to the park. When I did my walk in the park last week, very simple. Walk in the park last week, BBC 15400 was like crystal clear. I get here, BBC World Service is something in the noise. Radio France that I sometimes get strong enough here to listen to. Well, in the park, it's not sometimes it's strong enough. In the park, it's I hear Radio France. And it gives you an idea that that noise level is washing out so many things that would be easy, even if they're not that strong, they would still be easy targets. And that's where you go, wow, I say it always and always. What's killing the hobby is not the internet. It's the noise. The noise is the hobby killer number one. And when I see somebody tell me I don't hear anything else than this or that, man, it's because there's a lot more, and that radio is capable of a lot more. And look, the walk in the park, they're with the telescopic antenna. They're not with fancy antennas. They're not with, I get one of the rants that I get the most out of users is, well, you always post those videos with those loops. Nobody has those. We all use our telescopic antennas or, pieces of wire. If you want to be down to earth with what we do here, you should also be with the telescoping and be with down to earth what everybody has in general. And I understand that because it's true. I mean, no, not everybody has an MLA30, even though it's inexpensive. Not everybody has the place for it or know how to, set that up. It might sound simple, some people is like, well, that MLA30 is so easy to set up. Yeah, it's easy for you. It's easy for me. We forget that what's easy for us is not for everybody at the same level. So yeah, okay, I get it that more videos of just the telescopic, because that's what the radio comes with, is required. But overall, you got to tell people you've got to go to a park or, I understand how people might be a little sad coming into the hobby and saying, I thought I could listen to that radio sitting in my lazy boy in my living room and hear tons of things. Well, I hear nothing there. And it's like, yeah, you got to leave that lazy boy and go out in the countryside, or go to the park, or go far away from buildings, and you're going to hear stuff. But you don't always want to, I'm not going to go out to the park every day to listen to Radio France or BBC. It'd be fun to hear it where I live, in my home, in the comfort of where I am. So it's a tough one. That's a tough one. And that's the killer of the hobby, the noise level we have around. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Sorry, guys. um, what else do we have? Okay, let's go down here. Dmitry, Radio Drake PRN 1000s also have choppy noise. Is it normal for this kind of radio? Drake R8 don't have that issue. It shouldn't normally have choppy noise. Really shouldn't have choppy noise normally. What else do we have here? Chastang, our apple cider is a lot darker than that, but it's excellent when served cold and with a warm donut. Now you want me to have donuts. What else do we have? Sheldon Harvey, 2 people in Europe reporting Radio Cairo, Egypt, back on the air today on 9950 at 17 and 18 UT. That's interesting. Gonna have to check it out. What I hear is that Radio Cairo is not dead, but they just don't have what it takes to put it back on the air. Maybe they're trying to fix it. Hope the audio is better. If they have a strong Radio Cairo's problem for 20 years, strong carrier, no audio, or distorted audio. Chas Tank, hard apple cider and good radio equals relaxation. BZNRLD, CHU Times, singing station coming in good. 7850 on the Oregon coast. Cool. Shortwave listener. What happened to the official VHF UHF channel? The problem with the VHF UHF channel is that almost everything that you can talk on that channel is very localized, because it's, VHF and above. Most of it is line of sight. And you get to a point where you don't actually know what to talk and what to do. I talked about satellites a lot because that's the thing that everybody could hear. But it's a very, honestly, right now it's I don't know what to do with it, and it's in the abandoned stage. It's still monetized. It still has enough views and enough time of views for it to continue on its own right now. Of course, one day, someday, I'm gonna get to the point where the monetization is gonna stop, and because I don't have the minimum requirement anymore. I just don't know what to do with it, honestly. Good night, Richard Bidner. Nice to have you here. Sheldon Harvey, IARU asking Ham to keep frequencies open for emergency traffic for the Canary Islands due to the volcano. 80 meters 3760, 40 meters 7110, 20 meters 14300, and 15 meters 21360. I was seeing a picture today. They're kind of wondering where all of that lava, where it's going to go, where it's going to flow. Pretty crazy stuff. Robert Prosper, best antenna I've ever had was the finger stop on an old school rotary telephone. Alligator clip that made use of the telephone wire in our house. I tried that. I tried so many things. um, like that. Also, I remember. I remember the craziest thing I did when I was 14. So let's say, okay. So there's the where I live, and I live on the second floor. It's about halfway on that street where I live, on that avenue between the two corner streets. I'm really in the middle. One of my best friends lives at the corner, really on the corner, near the park. So he's north of me at that time. And I get so about halfway from his house to my house by the backyard, he can actually come close about halfway. On my side, there's fences, so I can't do anything except maybe try to throw something. And I get in my backyard and I say, okay, you want to try a crazy thing? I'm going to tie a rock to the end of a small wire, and I have about 500 feet of it here. I'm going to throw it as hard as I can in your direction. And hopefully, you can actually reach out and grab it, pull it up to your house, and I'm going to plug it in and then come over and we're going to try it on the radio. And I remember it took, 20 tries before it worked. Every time it was too short of a distance, and I had to pull it back. And the funniest thing is, there was this Italian woman on one of the houses that didn't like me very much because when I was young, I would, play ball and the ball would go in her garden, and I was always climbing the fence, going to her garden, breaking her tomato plants and stuff. And so she was kind of not very, she didn't like me. I was that little kid, that little kid she hated. So every time I would bring the fence was made of metal. So I would bring the rock, and it would do like shkling, shkling, and she would run out, and she would look at me and saying, "Qu'est-ce que tu fais?" Which means, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Nothing. I'm doing nothing." And while she was like looking, I would put the wire like down so she doesn't see, and I would slowly pull, and she would look what I'm doing and why I'm looking in that direction, but she wouldn't see anything. And then it would like shling, and she was like, start looking. What's that? What's that noise? One point, I'm pulling on the wire, and it's like shling, and she's like, "Do you hear that?" I said, "Didn't hear anything." And it was like I wanted to laugh so hard, but it was like I was super serious because I knew, she was a kind of troublemaker. So she was like, "Yeah, if I do something, she's gonna call my dad, and I'm gonna be like, well, you stop doing this, and blah blah blah." The kid stuff is like, "Yeah, she's gonna tell my dad and my mom and my so, kind of stuff that's like, yeah, right." So after a certain time, she would go, and when I would actually have the rock and everything, she would stay on the balcony for like 20 minutes, and I was like, okay, okay. So I got an idea at one point. I told my friend, I said, "Take your walkie-talkie, so like that I can tell you when that bitch Italian, that's how I called her when I was young. I said, when that bitch Italian woman's gonna be back in the home." Oh God. And it took at least 20 throws. And then I had one which was far enough. And he was like, "Yeah, I can see it, but I don't know how to reach it." And I said, "How far is it if you see it?" I said, "Wait a minute, I'm going to go to your place." And I looked and I said, "Oh, you have a rake or something. It's not far enough. With a rake, I think we can go and get it." And I remember we got it with a rake and pulled it in. And then, we couldn't leave it like that because the wire was in the middle of all the yards. So it's like anybody going in the backyard will be, will hit the wire. I said, let's try it for a couple of hours. And if you see somebody coming in their backyard, we'll just, pull it back. And, all sorts of little weird things like that. It's like, oh man. But when I think about it today, it's like, So much fun times when I was younger of really cool, really cool moments. Ah, man. What else we have? Robert Prosper. When you're a kid, that's a great approach. I also used to broadcast with my various kits. Yep, could reach out a solid city block with that. Yeah. Corey, you should do a comparison between expensive cabling versus cheap cabling to see if it makes a difference, performance difference on reception clarity and noise reduction. Yeah, it's mostly on the coaxial cable that would make a difference. Because on coaxial cable, a cheap coax versus a more expensive coax with better shielding probably has a difference in the amount of noise, for example, that you have. That I wouldn't be surprised. For the wire itself outside, I don't think it would make much of a difference whatever type of wire you use, though. But yeah, that could be a nice, especially the coax cable. That could be a nice way to compare. Anybody answer our Goran Jovic Yagi antenna question about FM reception? What else do we have? Fossil Channel. This digital ham radio taught me a lot about antennas, and I'm still a beginner at making antennas. I'd say a good portion of radio to receive and transmit is the antenna, in addition to other things, of course. Oh, absolutely. You do need a good antenna for a radio. That's super important. Will the MLA 30 work well indoors? There's a lot of viewers that actually have it indoors that seem to have pretty good performance out of it. So I would say that you have to try it because there's definitely a lot of people that use it indoors and that have good reception. Take care. Good night, Paul in Vermont. Nice to have you on board as usual. Yeah, yeah, agreed to putting up with noise. Yep. David, KJ4CMO, I do better receiving when I get away from the house. Parks are even better for reception. Yep. Paul says not everyone has mechanical skill to set up antenna, but others may have the skills to design one. We all carry different toolkits. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Fossil channel. I've noticed that many of my modern VHF UHF radios have wide open front ends compared to HTX 202 2-meter radio, and old radios which have a tighter front end, which helps reject intermod. Yeah, there's a lot of radios today that unfortunately they cut corners. Eric Cottrell is the witness to what I am living with here. So Eric Cottrell came to Montreal for a few days last weekend. He brought along his ICOM IC R30 and suddenly noticed what I was saying, that the R30 is a difficult beast to have working right with all the FM overload in Montreal. And he totally found out when he was here, and is like, yeah, okay, I understand what you're saying now. I really understand what you're saying now. So each radio also has a difficult times with certain areas. Here, the FM stations are so strong that radios need to be rock solid on their front ends to really resist the overloading. And I can tell you, if I tell you a radio is good here, it's a darn good radio. Big Buddha, really enjoying his BL310 ET. Waiting to try out the ATS20 when it's cooler and not raining. Only have a little long wire, but a wide open 46-acre park out back. I have to set up some really nice, do some really nice setup there. Canadian Radio TV guy, are the VHF UHF live stream returning? For the time being, I don't see them coming back for now, but we'll see. We'll see. Brett Wayne, take care. 73. Always nice to have you on board. Sunwave. Yeah, why not? Dmitry, Gilles, the antenna ALM30 is mere affordable antenna that people can buy for their shortwave receivers. Yeah, it's difficult sometimes to have people push on. I get people telling me the MLA30 is, oh man, that's an expensive antenna. Yeah, you don't know what expensive is. I bought a W6LVP loop, and I can tell you what expensive is all about. Canadian Radio TV guy, I always get a kick out of people that say once you post it on, it's on social media forever, but don't realize the internet isn't forever. Yeah, what's going to be. I sometimes, it happens. I think it's like, what if, I disappeared today? All this content, what's here? How long will it survive the internet? How long will YouTube exist in such a form? What's going to happen in the future? When I started doing YouTube in 2012, actually I did want to start, but the real moment YouTube started for me is 2012, which will be 10 years like next year. And time really goes fast. 10 years of YouTube next year. One of the things I remembered thinking about is what's in 5 years for YouTube? What if I embark on this journey of YouTubing and make a living off of it? What is that going to be in 5 years, 10 years? And for now, it's still going on strong. YouTube is still a huge platform. It has really big competition with, TikTok, stuff like that. That is really video shorts, basically. But yet, 10 years later, YouTube is still going on strong. Is it going to be still going strong 10 years from now? We talk about dominance and how things get so big and dominate. But at the same time, it's not because it's big and it dominates now that in 10 years it's still big and still in domination. Those big platforms can easily move away because of some new thing that's happening. The young generation is not YouTubing that much. It's TikTok. Let's do those minute videos that show something. It's super, super popular, but it's not monetized. And it's not, how do you monetize the content there if you have a following? It's a different thing. YouTube is the only platform that exists that offers a partnership, which I'm part of. It's the only platform that does that. There's it's kind of interesting. That partnership is what maintains a lot of YouTubers, maintains a lot of people here. That partnership is what makes, that gives me my paycheck every month. And You think about the internet, and what's going to be in 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years from now. If I disappear today, what's this content? How long is it going to be available online somewhere? Will somebody in 150 years from now stumble upon a video of some guy in 2021 talking about something that they probably don't understand, which is radio, shortwave radio or whatever, because it's different. You know, it's it's crazy. It's crazy. Jenkin loves this story. I did so many things with that guy. Oh man, I did so many things. One of the best also that we did together because I thought it can't hurt anyone. We took a 100. So we took a 4-track cassette and we took a 90-minute 4-track cassette that the tape has gone off. And I said to my friend, stick the tape so that it can't move on your fence. And let's take a walk pulling the tape and see how far we're going to go before the tape is totally out of the cassette. That didn't work out the way we wanted because we did one big mistake. Well, actually, we had to, anyways, and we crossed streets. So of course, we're like really far. There hasn't been a car yet or anything, and we're like, "Wow, there's a lot of tape in here." And so I'm still pulling, and a car passed by, and it's like, I feel a little tension on the tape, and then I get like no tension at all. I'm like, okay, I think that car broke the tape. But it was one of those things that's like, it doesn't matter. It's just a very weak plastic tape. It won't hurt anybody. It won't, well, actually I didn't think about it then, but people walking on the sidewalk might be like tangled in tape or something. But anyways, the stupid things that you come up with when you're young and you're like, let's do this. It's fun. Oh God. One of the fun things, a fun memory of two fun memories. One of this season, one of this time, pretty much with the weather we're having now. Actually, it was like almost like that. So I don't know, I'm about 14, 15 years old. And I'm the guy that wants to see how things, how far the things go. So, and I'm going to show you the exact or almost exact thing I'm using. So, here, this. Now, this is a 3-watt. The one I was using back then, 14 years old, was a 1-watt talkie. So I remember I had enough money to buy one. But it looked like this quite a lot. And by the way, this, if you look at the Stranger Things first season, this is exactly the model that one of the kids is using in the walkie-talkies. So I had it, but no one to talk to. I have one, so it's not like having a pair of talkies. And I was able to convince my best friend's father that he needed also one so we can actually talk together. And after about a month, he has one too. And we start talking to each other, and they're actually pretty good. But one of the things that we would do and really enjoy, and I remember particularly a September because we had started school, I would go to the park and I would I had only one crystal back then because these have 3 channels, but I only had channel 14 on it. And this one, by the way, has 3 channels on it. I would go to the park and I would stand in the park, not always with my friend, sometimes alone. I would go to the park and I would call on channel 14 in the middle of the park for an hour to an hour and a half, saying hi. I hope anybody hears me. If anybody hears me, please let me know. I'm at this park and I'm trying to see how far I can go with my walkie-talkie and blah blah blah. And surprisingly, back in 1985 ish, 84, one out of 2 times probably that I would do this, I had an answer back. Once was I remember once was a guy in his sports car that actually did a change because he wanted to come and see my talkie in the park. So he came in, said hello, watched my walkie-talkie, showed me the CB radio in his car, and he left. One was a bunch. There were 2 guys that were friends that had new walkie-talkies, and they walked to the park and all sorts of. It was a lot of fun, honestly. Man, I remember. I think of that, and I almost have goosebumps. It's like one of those fun moments. We would do that sometimes, me and my friend, together at the park, and have fun with that. I mean, oh man, that was like these are cool moments so cool moments in radio. So the talkie part was really a lot of fun. One of the things we would do also that was a lot of fun on Friday evenings, me and my friend that had one of those, we started doing pirate radio, but of course on channel 14, and we will alternate. So one Friday, I would say, okay, tonight's your night. Next Friday is my night, or sometimes it was one after the other. And we would pretend that it's radio station. We would play music, we would talk, we would read articles, and we would have a lot of fun with that. And when I was doing it, he was listening. When he was doing it, I was listening. It was really a lot of fun. I mean, we had a blast doing these things. Really fun, kid moments that are really just so cool, honestly. I miss these times. I miss these times. Goran says, older Sony XRC 350 car radio cannot find the right home or antenna connection. I read that for most car radios for FM, it's 50 to 100. Yeah, 75 is very popular in the FM radio range most of the times. Eric Cottrell, stay safe. What else do we have? Unidentified pirate on 5015 upper sideband. 5015 upper sideband. Don't have nothing here. Paul Crossley, nice to have you on board, and hope you are well. And you and Adolf the cat. Matt has a rough copy of Man Speaking, 5015. Interesting frequency. So, no, 5010 Canadian Radio TV guy. I'm sorry, but 5010 is WRMI in Florida. They are using that frequency to broadcast. So what you're hearing is pretty sure WRMI. That in 4980 has been really, really messing up a lot of people thinking they got some great DX. But 5010 is WRMI. And we're Tuesday. It should be in English, actually. If you listen, they should have some Monday. We're Wednesday, Thursday. So, yeah, it should be in English. If you hear something in English, it's definitely WRMI, and that's probably what you're hearing at this time. Until, well, actually, wait. It ends at 02. So you're hearing what you can you identify the language? 5010? That's interesting now. No, okay. It's in Spanish. It's in Spanish. You should have something in Spanish. It's WRMI 0230 to 03. 0230 to 03, and they're rebroadcasting Radio Prague Spanish to the Caribbean on 5010. Canadian radio TV guy. So can you confirm if it's Spanish? It's WRMI. Hey, Sunwave. Jim, nice to have you here from Rhode Island. Doug Noble, interestingly, a YouTube guy was talking about what would be needed if the power went out. 3 types of radios he mentioned: talkies, EM radio, and shortwave radio. Yogi, in Hong Kong, TikTok is inaccessible, but no one cares. Good morning, Yogi. Nice to have you here. Fossil Channel. The realistic CB, my childhood, crystal controlled. Yep. Paul, Jill, my teen self was guilty of intentionally stretching 8-track tape across rows just to see what happened. That's not bad. I'm not alone doing these kinds of weird things, eh? Oh, man. Vince Perrault owned 2 Baofangs UV5R. Is it normal that I barely make 1 kilometer with a 5-watt setting? Are you using the default antenna that's on that thing? You should be. That's 1 kilometer is not a lot. Have you tried? Yeah, okay. Have you tried tripping some of the amateur radio repeaters to see if you make it? Because honestly, with 5 watts on VHF, if it's 2 Baofangs together, you might not be doing that long. I don't think you're going to be doing very far. But that's interesting. Fossil Channel, have you been to any ham radio fest yet? Not this year. There's none of them here. They're all postponed or canceled due to the COVID thing. But it could be Mad Max has a Uniden 980 SSB, a GE handheld CB, a Baofeng UV5R Ethon Elite Executive, and going to be going for a solar setup. So that's cool. So it might be normal. Between 2 Biofangs, it might be normal. Sunway 5850 is WRMI also. So it's something out of WRMI. I'm not all that surprised, Vince, that you might not be doing that big of a distance, honestly. With just antennas on the radios themselves. 123 ABC. Is the 990 still the best radio in your opinion? For modern receivers, it's one of the best out there, definitely. But it also depends what exactly you mean by best radio, because there's definitions of best radio. It depends what you're looking at and what you're looking for. RJ88 Dakota 4790. That's, of course, WBCQ. That fools everybody. Yeah, it could be. It here. What I get here, from what I see here, so EIBI space says that 0230 to 03 is Radio Prague in Spanish. So it's possibly Radio Prague, but WRMI schedules are always shifting around all the time. So sometimes they're not 100% accurate on the websites. So it could be Taiwan, but it could be. I would bet it's probably Radio Prague, because Radio Prague has been having a lot of rebroadcasts over WRMI. So, but anyways, it's WRMI. Whatever you have, it's WRMI. So whether it's Taiwan or not, it's from Florida. That's for sure. MDK2 says, I listen to This Is a Radio show every week. It's a guy in Toronto who finds music in thrift stores and puts together a show featuring his finds. Cool. Yeah. This is a music show. Yeah. What else do we have? Nick Bernstein, Odyssey.com has a similar profit sharing option like YouTube Partner Program, and it's pretty good. I'm going to check it out. Who knows? I am looking at diversifying my revenue, so that could be a few things could be interesting in here. What else do we have? Revedan. I don't have a call sign, ham call sign yet. So it's there's a few things you need to check for the radios. That's for sure. That's for sure. Maybe the antennas aren't right, or because I get it's kind of interesting. Refat about text in PL990. Do you get sort of harmonics, medium wave, or strong signals elsewhere on the HF band? Switch to the X. Like all portables, because I have every portable I have that problem, and that does have a little bit of that problem in the bottom part of the band. So, like, if you'll try to listen to the 2 megahertz range, you'll definitely have, if you have a lot of strong medium wave stations around you, you'll have some medium wave bleed through in the around 2 megahertz range. It actually kind of it's probably like it tapers off as you go higher in frequency, and above the 4 megahertz you don't have any of that anymore. In the 3 megahertz range, I don't remember having much, but definitely 2 to 3 megahertz, there will be some. I have some here. There will be some AM bleed through on the Texan, and that's not just that radio. It's every portable that I own. All have bleed through like that. So one of the things also, Vince, is the antenna you use. Is it well cut for the frequencies you're using for the FRS GMRS, because that's also something that's important. I have Motorola GMRS here. Um, I make I easily make 4 to 5 kilometers easily in the city, when well positioned. I talk to Fastlow, the guys in the chat room from time to time. I'd say he's about 3 or 4 kilometers away from me, if not more, maybe 5. And from my backyard to his home, we actually are able to talk. It's a little rough, but it works. So the antenna is maybe something you should make sure that it's well designed for the frequency of the GMRS, which is UHF, because that's very important to check out the antenna. Can eat radio TV guy. No, you're not. You're not exactly bothering me. We're just, like I said, I am also in the. I see it here as Radio Prague, but like I said, it's not written in stone, because I know these are not always accurate with WRMI changing all the time. So there's no problem there. But no soup for you. I'm the radio Nazi. No radio for you. Oh man, take care, David KJ4CMY. But that's the important thing. Like Fossil Channel also says, it's the important thing. Are the antennas really cut for the frequency you're using, Vince? That's also important. In a straight line with no buildings, you should have more than 1 kilometer. If the antenna is right and the radio has 5 watts really output, you should. So Fossil Channel, I'm in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Yeah, we got an election that kind of came back with the same result as 2 years ago, which means we spent $600 million for nothing. I think, you know what, Vince? I think your antenna isn't. It's what the antenna you have is a ham antenna, and at 450, because GMRS is at 460 megahertz. You're too far away from the resonant frequency of it. You're too far away. So I think your antenna isn't good for what you're doing. It's probably not resonating at all on that frequency. Francis, nice to have you on board, and big fan. Many vintage radios. These are a lot of fun, man. Keep and hang on to those. They're a lot of fun. It's fun to see. There's going to be no radio. Come back 1 year. No amateur radio for you. Come back 1 year. Oh, man. Canadian Radio TV guy, lots of static crashes and noise from the thunder and lightning. Yeah. Sea Cranes, Skywave says BAJC pumped a bit. Yeah, most portables are kind of harsh on the AJC, unfortunately. If there would be one feature that good portables should have, I would tell them on the AJC, add a switch. Slow, fast. Just slow and fast. That would help so much. For example, instead of having that useless variable bandwidth on the Sangean ATS 909X2, which is useless and doesn't work well, they should have put a AGC switch, slow, fast. That would have been a good feature to add. Yeah, latest news on the Brother Stare stuff, Canadian radio TV guy, is that we're gonna hear him for quite a long time. Actually, I think he's more present in the last couple of weeks than he's been even when he was alive. It's totally nuts, totally nuts. So oh man. So take care, James Johnson, 73. So, anyways, lots of things from when I was a teenager with these talkies, which is, you know, yeah, Vince, because antennas resonate. So for a good transmission on a frequency, the antenna needs to be resonating at the frequency that you are actually transmitting. So there are different types of antennas. Like if you buy an official GMRS radio, a good one, that little rubber duck antenna on it is actually tuned to maximize the reception and transmission for 460 megahertz, where you are transmitting on GMRS. If you move away from there just a little bit, that antenna cannot resonate anymore. It's, antennas are like strings on a guitar or a musical instrument. When a string on a guitar is plucked, that string resonates to an audio frequency, what you hear. And if you put another instrument that is the same note on the same frequency, you'll notice that it actually transfers to the guitar string. It will actually make it vibrate. Why? Because they resonate on the same frequency. And the same applies to radio frequencies. So your antenna is made to resonate and get the maximum of a certain range. And the more you go out of that range, the less the antenna is effective, the less it actually works. So it gets to a point where not only, for example, that antenna that you have, 430 megahertz, it's made for the ham bands. You are transmitting 30 megahertz higher, 460 megahertz. So what happens is that antenna doesn't resonate well there. So you lose two things. It's not as sensitive because it doesn't resonate. And it's not as good to transmit because it doesn't resonate on that frequency. So a lot of the power of your transmitter is lost. So the standing wave must be like really high when you broadcast, which means that a lot of that power isn't getting out. It's dissipated in heat within your radio instead. So it doesn't go very far. You really need to have something that resonates very well on the frequency that you want to use to transmit. So what you have and what you put on that radio is the radio is simply for amateur radio. They probably work well if you would be on the amateur radio bands. So that's the thing. Thor K0 TJT, nice to have you on board. Vince C, nice to have you on board from Minnesota. Great show always. W0/G7NQN. Nice to have you here. Yeah, Brother Scare. So it's simply that I think, Vince, your antennas are not resonating at the frequency you're transmitting. So you're losing when you transmit. Only part of the energy is going out, and you aren't sensitive when you receive at the same time. At the same time, that's very important to have all the things resonating. It's part of radio transmissions. Antennas need to be cut for very, very precise frequencies when you transmit, or else you lose a lot of that energy, and it just doesn't work. And Sheldon says 5010 was definitely Radio Prague in Spanish relayed by WRMI. So that schedule is still good. And that's pretty much what I thought it probably was, because Radio Prague is all over the WRMI schedules lately. Dwayne Lemler, nice to have you here, WPE9CZE. WRMI has a lot of frequencies that stumble a lot of people. 5010. People think they're having some exotic DX, and it's like, no, you're not. The other frequency, like I said, for WRMI is 4980, where there's a lot of WRMI stuff. And 4790 lately, a lot of people have been saying, oh, cool, I'm receiving 4790. I'm probably receiving the something from, like some exotic transmission somewhere. That's WBCQ. As simple as that. So a lot of those US broadcasters are using the 60-meter band lately. Check it out here. What else do we have? Okay, so I'm looking at the frequencies here. What's on? So that 0300 7275. Let's try Turkey 7275 tonight. Is that coming in? Yeah, it's not super good. 7275 is Voice of Turkey towards the west coast of North America. Not really making it very well here, actually. So Fossil Channel have a 20-meter and fed HW antenna with a 49.1 auto transformer cut for phone portion and ham bands. Loads up nicely on 20 and 10. I use it for shortwave listening sometimes too. Cool. So, hey guys, we've been on for 3 hours, and tomorrow is my first ham radio course. So I guess I'm going to take it easy for the rest of the night. I hope you enjoyed the show today. It's a lot of fun to be here. And we'll be back Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 20 hours Universal Time. I'll give my first impressions of the first ham radio course that I've had tomorrow. And I'm going to take it easy for the rest of the night. RGA Dakota, I got the impression that North America stations should not be using 60 meters. Well, they're allowed as long as it's, what they do, and that's what they are actually doing. It's meant for local broadcasting only. But a lot of US stations have decided to use the 60-meter band now. So take care, everybody, and hope that you stay safe, have fun, and we will be back Saturday with another shortwave radio show. And like I said, Vince, your antenna is probably not cut right for the broadcast on that biofang for the GMRS. So it doesn't resonate enough. It doesn't work well. Because here with the Motorola that I have, if it's decently open land, you should have 5, 6, 7 kilometers easily. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. See you Saturday if you're here. And hope that you enjoy radio. If you do, turn it on, listen, have fun. It's what you should do. So bye, everybody. See you Saturday or next week.